So I hate to be the one to tell you this. Who am I kidding? I love it. Your problems are not a big deal. Your problems are actually really small. Your problems are kind of insignificant. Stop being such a big baby and get over it. Okay, that's a little mean. But I do mean the thrust of what I just said there. There are exceptions to that, and let me tell you what the exceptions are. This morning, I had a call with somebody who has been for the past, I think she said 7 or 8 years, has been struggling with a debilitating neurological disease that has left her in a ton of pain. And she went from doctor to doctor to doctor, eventually ended up at the Mayo Clinic. They were unable to diagnose this rare neurological condition for years. And she struggled with the pain. She had her own business. She was a consultant, and she kept serving her clients and fighting through the pain, all the while on the side trying to find some kind of treatment. Couldn't find even a diagnosis, let alone treatment. Finally, it gets diagnosed. It's not a terribly easy thing to treat. She's on these neurological medications that, well, as you might expect, in addition to helping her deal with the pain, also have very adverse side effects. She wasn't able to really think clearly or function properly on these medications. So now she's got a decision to make. Either she can continue on the medications and that'll help with the pain, but not really be able to function like she needs to function to run her business, or she can get off the medication and have to struggle with the pain, have to find a way to deal with the pain so she can continue running her business. And that's the decision that she's facing. She's now decided to get off the medication. She's finding ways to deal with the pain. There's all kinds of damage that she's incurred to her body as a result of this exercise, or this condition rather. She can't exercise anymore. She's got trouble walking. And this is somebody who her livelihood is requires her to go in and meet with clients and sell and pitch and so on and so forth. That's a real problem. Your problems are not real problems. Okay, I'm sorry. I really hate to break it to you. That's a real problem. That's somebody who's really in a rough position. She's really got some struggles behind her and ahead of her. Okay, unless your problems mirror that or are even comparable to that in terms of their magnitude, and I'm not saying that they're not, they might be. And if so, I feel for you. But unless your problems compare to that even remotely, you don't have real problems. What you have are little small problems that you are letting get the better of you. You have little problems, small minuscule problems that, because you don't have a solution to those problems yet, and because you can't really see beyond those problems, you were blowing out of proportion into these gigantic, overwhelming problems that consume, all of your headspace. That's what you're doing. Okay. And I say this to you not to be mean, even though I might kind of enjoy it a little bit, but I say this to you to give you some perspective. First of all, it's normal to blow your problems out of proportion. So that's the good news. It's not just you. I do the same thing. I blow my problems out of proportion. I obsess over certain problems that, in the grand scheme of things, yeah, they need to be solved, but they're not going to make or break anything. They're not going to make or break my business or my life or my well-being or anything like that. Okay. And secondly, when you obsess over these problems, what happens is you tend to color everything else that's going on through that obsession. So because you're struggling with one area of your business, let's say, right, you let my phone ring, you let that color all your other areas of the business. You let that color all the other interactions that you have in your business. Maybe you're struggling with a client, as an example. Well, I think we can both agree it doesn't make any sense for that one relationship that may be on the rocks to affect your other client relationships. What's going on with that one client should not affect what's going on with other clients. But because you're letting that one problem, which is, in the grand scheme of things, a small problem, it's one client, you're blowing that out of proportion, and it's affecting and coloring all your other relationships. That's a terrible thing. So bottom line here is, I want you to understand that unless your problem is comparable by order of magnitude to the situation I just described, your problems are not that big of a deal. What you need to do is get better at coping and dealing with them. You've got to get better at positioning your problems and prioritizing your problems so you can see them for what they are. They're just problems that need to be dealt with, and solve them by all means, but don't let them get the better of you, and don't let them color your entire world, because you're only going to suffer as a consequence of that. Hope that makes sense. Cheers.